Welcome to the second episode of A Few Dollars More.
For a few dollars more.
For a few dollars more.
Gotta put inflection there, man.
I
Enunciate.
Did I say for or a few? I can't remember how I titled it.
Well, the
we only have one
title
episode.
Was For a Few Dollars More. You're talking about one of the greatest action movies of
No.
all time.
I didn't say what is the name of the movie. I said what did I title it.
If you're, I'm pretty. It should be For a Few.
I'm pretty sure I did it for.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point
it's
of this show, if you didn't catch it, it's about spoilers. If you didn't see our Star Wars episode, only Hyro listened to it anyway, apparently. We're going to ruin a movie. And not ruin it necessarily, but ruin the money that you'd spend on it, essentially. Today we're going to talk about...
if you're listening to this, you probably would have seen the movie already, ideally.
I hope so.
Yeah, and you're trying to be part of the discussion.
Or you're morbid. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Charlie Kaufman's Anomalisa. It's hard to say that title correctly because it's Anomalisa. So yeah, Anomaly Lisa. And that's just a really great conversation they have. That's some really good dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's really interesting. You talked about it on Dollar Reviews. You know, it's about a midlife crisis and what's going through that. But the way it conveys that everything is the same, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Every person looks the same. They just have different hair and different clothes. Every voice sounds exactly the same. But I don't know. It was hard to talk about this movie without ruining it, and it's kind of equally hard to talk about it without that constraint on the mind.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I sort of covered the base, but it's funny because I think you just sort of brought it up, especially with that Anomalisa scene, is there are some undeniably kind of sweet moments in this movie, especially between him and Lisa, but at the same time, I felt uncomfortable watching it because this is a married guy and I just could not agree with what he was doing necessarily on that level for for personal reasons. I'm like cheating. I'm sorry. That's that's just right when that happens. It's it's just kind of like, dude, what are you doing? But at the same time,
he didn't have to fuck her. It would have been a more beautiful movie if they just talked all night. But
yeah, he
wanted to. He wanted to get laid by a voice that was arousing to him.
Yeah, it's a lot of mixed emotions just because
for her. When you think about it, it is fucked up. Did he only hear her voice because she was scarred? Because, he's in the shower, and I'm guessing he's jerking off, or whatever, and he hears her, but maybe he saw her beforehand. I don't know. Because there's that whole thing where he's can I kiss you there? And she's taken aback and she doesn't know how to handle it. And it's she's not the prettiest looking gal. And it's always her friend that gets the attention.
Yeah, which is such bullshit. I know that's a doll, but come on now. They did not ugly her up in the slightest.
Well, no, but she doesn't look as good as Jennifer Jason Leigh can with makeup, I'm assuming.
I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe all dolls look alike as far as looks,
doll,
I guess.
So.
But there was nothing in particular. Oh well, except for I guess that one defect there. I can understand that the girls have one thing that they tend to be super shy about. But you just kind of look at it, no, it's not a big deal. Come on, but
I wish there was something about this movie where it kind of spelled out why she was the one that he could hear, what made her special. I mean, it doesn't really matter because the way I see it, up until he falls, I guess you could say, out of love with her. Once she
starts acting like everybody else,
we're not acting, but yeah, once
the thing in that relationship where
becomes everybody else.
It's kind of like that honeymoon phase just was a bit too quick. You realize, you like someone, you're not entirely sure why, but you just feel that thing, and then you just start that honeymoon period ends.
Problems.
You see the flaws.
Chew with your mouth closed. Don't hit your fork on your teeth. Don't do this. I fucking hate when you do that. It kind of reminded me of About Schmidt, where he's I don't like that she does this, and she does this, and she does this, yet I'm going to be really sad because she's dead.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, no one's going to fucking fulfill every high standard that you have, but I guess as far as the... the fact that that basically it's sweet, but at the same time he is cheating. I'm not. There was a point where I thought that might have been saved for me because during that dream sequence,
which was real surreal.
Yeah,
I thought that was actually happening.
Yeah, no, I did too, and I was thinking, oh, okay, so this is the Matrix. So that is interesting how this is going
His
to
fucking
change
mouth.
everything that's been happening. Yeah,
I should freeze frame it. What did it say under where his mouth is?
I don't know.
There was text there, right?
Yeah, no,
I'm not hallucinating.
I didn't get to catch it either. No, there was text in there, but I couldn't. I
could
don't
catch
know,
I could pause it. I could find it.
I think
on the
that there.
frame.
Yeah, there's. I think there. It was stuff like that, and also there's that moment where he's just looking in the front of the mirror, and it looks like he's glitching or short circuiting. Yeah, I mean that would have made complete sense at that point. So, this is obviously not supposed to inform our reality whatsoever. But I mean, I don't know. As far as
that's why it's puppets.
I know. But as far as what the film's. As far as what the film's own reality is, like as far as just cinematic reality, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just simply stuck from his own perspective. Like like he's
it's Charlie Kaufman.
I don't remember what the direct line is, but he says it like a few times. Like I might be having a psychotic breakdown or some along those lines.
He says that during his speech at the end. But
and
it's Charlie Kaufman. He doesn't really do actual reality. It's like his own fabricated sense of what we live.
No, it's heightened. It is hyper reality. But like I'm just saying, as far as what the film's own reality is that's trying to convey, I'm still not entirely sure, even though now it just seems like it's simply focused from that single perspective. That's why everyone sounds the same, is because it is. What's his name? I'm blanking out.
I think it's like Tom Noonan or something like that.
No, the character.
Michael Scott. No, not Michael Scott. That's the
Michael's his name though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Michael.
But that's what I mean. I mean that's. I'm pretty sure. Now just talking
Michael
about
Stone.
it, it's simply supposed to just be stuck from his own perspective. But
except that final moment where she's in the car and you see her friend Lisa, and she doesn't look like everyone else.
I don't know.
Like, did you catch that? Like, her face changed. Lisa's friend.
I did not catch that. No.
She no longer looked like everyone else. Like, she had her own distinct visual appeal, but. I think the reason why this movie is so interesting and so good is you have to learn what's going on. Like we talked about in our other episode, or not other episode, our other show, where you're like, oh, okay, it's because you don't catch it on the plane. You don't catch it with the taxi driver. It's like after you get to the bellhop, that's when it happens. Or like the concierge, maybe. You're like, why do they all kind of sound the same? Or, like, what was the budget on this thing? Is this what happens when it's a Kickstarter movie? But then, like, once you get into it, you, like, at least I was starting to, like, it was a mystery. It was like, why is this happening? Where is this taking place? Like, is he deaf? I don't know. Like, I couldn't really come up with an answer. And it wasn't until you said midlife crisis that it really dawned on me. I was like, well, fucking no shit, of course. But, like, part of me, I was just trapped in. I was like, this is a fantasy, it's obviously the medium is the message, and it is done in stop motion for a reason. I'm not sure why. And then it started making sense. It was like, oh, the mouths and this, and I don't know. But it definitely made the story this very simple story that you've seen so many times hit home harder.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
Imagine them doing a live action version of this.
I mean,
do you think it would be as?
I think I kind of said it earlier. Like, yeah, I do think it would work, but I think
now that I've said that, it's kind of like the John Malkovich thing at the end of John Malkovich, where he goes into his own head and everyone in the world becomes himself.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of like that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, although I do think there is a thematic reason for why everything is in stop motion. It would be weird, I think, if you did that in live action specifically, made everyone look the same. Whereas, here that it really ties into like that main reason of why he's having this crisis, or at least a part of it. For me, though, ironically, the big reason of why I think this works in stop motion, and why this has been called, oddly enough, one of the most human movies of the year, is that,
and it is, which is weird.
Yeah, is that his job is basically, or what he's known for, is writing this handbook on what it is like to provide great customer service, writing this handbook for what is a job of how you're supposed to make people feel good and how
Well, not
humans
just
are
feel
supposed to
good,
interact.
but
Yeah, like
yeah.
it's and make feel friendly, like have an actual conversation, and
And
it's
he
that
doesn't know how to do that.
and yet it's that artificiality of that book of how fake all that stuff is, that and yet it kind of works here because it's obviously it's fake humanity, like you could still do that in a meaningful way probably with live action because it might be a little harder, it would just be different, but here because it's visually it's there, that everything is just they're just as artificial as what he writes for people to the instructions or guidance that he gives them to say in his handbook. You get what I'm saying here? Am I
Yeah. No,
drifting
yeah, it makes sense. I was just, playing devil's advocate, like thinking out loud, like because this movie is good, because, like I said, the medium is the message because of it being stop motion, and you just looking at it and going, "Wow, that piss looked really real," or like whatever. Like
Well, it's mainly just it's seeing mundane stuff like that people do in everyday life, like, and it still looks so unique because it's coming from a puppet. That's. I mean, if this was live action, people would probably get bored far more easier. But
sort of.
You don't see a movie where a stop motion movie where they perform cunnilingus often. Like,
it's awesome.
And
this
it's
in
weird
Team
too
America.
because
Well, that's not stop motion, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, and this though, well, I don't know, they're kind of they are all dolls, but yeah, even this, ideally, I think that would be hilarious, but also it's a moment that's kind of there's so many conflicting emotions because on the surface you got a stop motion puppet going down on someone, which is ridiculous enough to begin with. That's supposed to be hilarious. Then you got this guy like just going down with this girl like who's very nice.
You
and
can
sweet
make sounds
and very shy, and it seems like a nice moment, and it's kind of sweet in that way. But then again, this guy's cheating on his wife, which is pretty fucking despicable. There's so many fucking conflicting emotions happening there, and I love it when movies do that.
I love that he tries to cheat on his wife with a girlfriend from 11 years ago, and once he realizes that she is like everyone else to him, he finds literally the next person. Like,
I mean, even when he makes the first call, like he has to ask that it's her, because he's not even
can
sure.
I speak to? Well, yeah,
I mean, the excuse can be made. Okay, 11 years, or 10 at first he says, and then she's like, no, 11.
I don't know. Like I'm still thinking like it's a powerful movie, and it made me think, and I really enjoyed it, and the way everything is captured is it's great. Like it is a spectacle. It is marvelous filmmaking. And you're right, like, he is a despicable character. He's doing these bad things, but sometimes the best movies are about those kind of events.
Well, he is a human character, which is
but
what makes it fascinating. He is very conflicted and flawed. What he's doing is, like, depending on your morals. Because I mean, come on, like, there are people that are just kind of, I don't know. I can believe, I mean, the fact that in Up in the Air that, one person in that movie, is just cool with cheating on their marriage with George Clooney, that they're fine with that it's just kind of like, oh, you're an escape from all this other stuff. Like, I don't know what it's like.
So sad.
It is very sad, but I mean, at the same time, I just can't with all marriages. Like, I mean, I don't know what to call our generation. Like, I mean, for me, like, I remember I grew up around kids that had divorced parents, and after a while I figured, okay, it's a matter of time till it happens with mine. And
I still believe
I don't know.
that.
I mean,
I know that
I really do wonder, like, and especially with stuff that happens before midnight, like, it's stuff that I don't mean to get too personal, but it's like stuff that you believe deep down to your core, and then I don't know, it's just depressing to think about looking at it at a younger age, just thinking, well, shit, is that just is that normalized adulthood? Is that just I don't know.
I mean, it should be no surprise to you.
Like, I sort of talked about stuff like this when we talked about The Overnight also, but
I mean, it should be no surprise to you given the films that I like. I like rom-coms, and I like emotional stories, and just arcs about people that it's about them. Not, I do like action as well, but I am a romantic. I still believe, and yeah, like my parents got divorced, and each of their sets of parents got divorced, and then some of them got remarried and then divorced anyway. Even still, like I believe romance is real.
For me, it's more of an ethical issue rather than a romantic
Yeah,
one. At
like
this point, yeah. As
like
far as how it's handled.
I was in college. I had an apartment. Like I went out to bars and I got laid. Like it's not something that's hard to do, especially if you want it to happen. But yet, on the other hand, like I've been using Tinder for 2 years. I've yet to meet a single person, and that was a personal choice, or it's been a personal choice. Like I've never asked someone out. Like I use it in the way that I want to. I'm not trying to get laid. I'm trying to meet someone to get to know them. Like I would much rather get your number and call you and have a couple conversations than, hey, what are you doing? My house is free. Why don't you come over and fuck me? Like, what's the point? And like, that's kind of what this movie's about. Like it paints this picture that Michael, wants. He's looking for that voice, and he's enamored by her, like her anomaly. But
and then there's also that
I think he just wanted to get laid. Like,
it's also. I mean, he's very sad and lonely and bored, and I think part of him honestly believes that. Oh, this is special. Like, but then again, it's like you're constructing your own narrative in your head. Like you see. Mm-hmm. These little things that you're attracted to, the thing with the scar especially, we never find out the reason that he's there, that she has it. It could be for something completely different, but for whatever reason, like he's
attracted to it.
Yeah, I think he's attracted to it because it's an imperfection and because
he likes that.
Yeah, it
makes her stand out.
But it could, for all we know, we don't know what reason she has it, and she doesn't want to talk about it, and it could be it's probably for some very personal reason or whatever. And I mean, it's just when you do like one night stands or stuff like that, you do fill in the blanks on your own and kind of build up what is essentially your ideal in front of you. That, and it's not until you find the flaws later and annoyances that you just didn't expect that it just doesn't work out.
I don't want to stand. You're not even looking for flaws unless you do it a second time.
But it's kind of a sad, like, very honest look, I guess, at what we seek out of relationships or what we expect out of people that we're just not going to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's tough to. There's always that ideal is what gets in the way, I think.
That breakfast scene the morning after broke my heart. Like, I really was hoping that, even how bad it is that he cheated on his wife, and he's talking about, like getting divorced and moving in, probably marrying this girl that he just met, who he knows very little about her other than that she has a really good voice and she likes Cyndi Lauper, and likes apple mojitos.
It's just one good night. Another thing to keep in mind is they were drinking that night.
Oh,
too,
of course they were drinking. Yeah, she was fucking shit-faced. Like, not shit-faced, but she was hammered, and he's drinking the whole movie, so you already know what he's like. Like, so when he goes in the sex shop, he didn't even know it was a sex shop. That's how drunk he was.
So it's not exactly an honest relationship that's being built up there. Like, you can get sucked in by it or as an audience, but then, that is something that I found myself forgetting from time to time. And then when you get to that breakfast scene, I was like, oh, wait, fuck. Yeah,
they're sober
drunk
now
the whole time. God damn it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's life, though. Like, I've had those moments. Like, you meet someone, you're both drunk, and then the magic wears off when the liquor's gone. But, like, in those moments in the hotel room, like, I did get a very Linklater vibe. Like, it did seem like Before Sunrise to me. And to find out that Michael's actually just a self-centered prick, like he's just trying to make his life better, that he's in it for the fun of it. Like there's that conversation.
Self-centered prick is kind of tough. I mean, definitely not. Doesn't do things that are ethically right. But I think
he's going through a crisis. Okay, and he's looking for happiness, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm not making excuses, but I would say he's just a very sad, lonely guy. That
definitely, you're right. I might have been too harsh on him.
Well, it's hard to not be though, because I mean, you can't support everything he does. But I mean, I think he can at least
final moment.
You can understand where it's coming from at least. But it is. like definitely selfish. Like there's no
when he
denying that.
gets to his house, his reaction to the surprise party, when he's like, "Who are all these people? Why are they here?" And he's talking to his wife, and what's he say? He says something along the lines of, like, "What are you doing with your life? Like, what's your purpose?" Like, what? Like, what's his purpose? His life is about telling others how they can make other people's experiences better, and yet
Yeah, he doesn't know how to fucking.
yeah,
take
he
care
doesn't
of
know how to
himself.
live. Like all of his
Yeah.
experiences are so shitty.
Which is not that's not the first time that we've had that kind of story though. I wish
Oh
I
no,
had another
definitely
example
not.
click in my head. Yeah, but I mean I think though just that idea though like of what it speaks to is it's like we're looking for some sort of like definitive answer to everything. Everyone wants to know how they're supposed to act or how to be a certain way, but yet you really just have this one person who's not perfect that's just kind of making up this shit as they go along. And we're just taking that answer because well, fuck it, it's better than having nothing. Am I making sense here? Or
Yeah,
am I
yeah.
yeah.
I really, like I said, a part of me wished that their romance was real, and that you can't even say he fell out of love with her because he never loved her. Like he
Well, it's because you
he
just
was
want to see a
enamored by
happy
her
ending. Yeah.
anomaly. He was enamored by the fact that she stood out to him. And when you realize, like when you piece it together, that the reason he ran away from what was her name, Isabella? I can't
Uh,
remember.
uh, Bella. Yeah.
Bella? Yeah, the reason he ran away from her is because he got bored in a sense. Like the movie frames it in a way to make you believe that she became part of the problem, that she became everyone else, that she became a drone. That the nightmare sequence in particular, and it really does drive it home. You're like, well, this is real. Like, and I can imagine coming to a certain age where that becomes a reality because, like I can't really understand quarter life crises, but kinda. I mean, I have a weird haircut, like many people do. Like the tapered look is in.
I mean, that's your thing. I don't know.
I mean, it's my thing, but
Yeah.
I tweeted about this the other day. I don't have a weird mullet because I feel the need to differentiate myself from others. Like I think I do a good job of doing that anyway. Like you knew me in college, like I'm an opinionated person. Like I come off a certain way, and so I cut my hair. I have this look so people know that before they meet me. And so if that pushes some people away, then good, because I don't want to have a bad conversation with you because you don't like the kind of person I am. Whereas here, like in the movie, like he doesn't even know who he is himself. Like he's searching for that. It's
I
interesting.
mean,
Like
it's definitely it. There's that quote basically hits it like on it's one of the most human movies of the year, and that's
yeah, especially
largely
given
because
how it's made.
even just even just talking about it, like there's so many. It's very conflicted most of the time. You can't support everything that's being done, but I think if you have that knee-jerk reaction to just completely dismiss this character and just hate him the whole time, then hey, that's fine. I think most of a mass audience would, but really, if you try to understand it, that's to me that's a much more interesting conversation.
I mean, we're having a pretty interesting one.
Well, yeah, I mean, then that goes for all characters. Like it's not every movie is going to have a happy ending. Not every character is going to be likable, but it's not like they're downright evil or anything. It's not perfect, and it's not gonna give you something that's, if you want something very quick and easy, it's not really going to be that satisfying. But if you want something that'll at least give you a lot to think about, at least life. I mean, I think things like this, I don't. Probably because I'm a much more positive person, I don't look at stuff like this as like, oh, when I'm 50, I'm going to be doomed and have similar thoughts. I look at it more as what these are cautionary tales, because it's not like this is the universal story of, well, this is what happens to everybody, but it's if you,
it does happen to a lot of people.
Like, yeah, and it's funny because this guy is obviously very successful. They bring it up of like, yeah,
everyone
this is a
knows him by
fancy-ass hotel.
name. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like, and you find out later what he's famous for, and that these girls, they basically splurged the money to stay one night in this hotel. So it's and this is a constant thing in stories, is that you got to be careful with, if you strike it rich and you get money, like, not to get too comfortable, because then you'll probably get unfulfilled. That's how I read that, and that's something that I honestly I try not to worry about money too often. Like, I can't help it, though. I mean, I'm fucking poor like everyone else, but and I'm not waiting for the day where I'll become rich and not have to worry about that. But like, that is,
You're not getting a Powerball ticket. You don't want $800 million.
no, I'm not, I'm not a gambling person. Maybe that's why I don't.
I mean, I'm not either.
I don't like
but
but what I'm saying,
I've bought
though,
in
is
one
like,
before.
but what I'm saying, I guess, is like, I guess it's when it comes to money and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, because you have to. I try to like look at this and see how it is that this guy ended up the way that he was, and that's probably the best indicator that I have. And as far as I don't know if he had aspirations to write novels or something, or of selling out, but like, yeah, just looking at stuff like this, it is interesting to stuff like this, movies like this, just interactions depicted like that. Like, yeah, they do stick with you, I guess, in future real life encounters that you have. Like, the Before series has had stuff like that. That's basically informed. Before Sunrise has informed most of my 20s already, I think, for the good. I mean, yeah, Dazed and Confused informed my fucking high school years for the best. So
maybe I'll tell you this off air, but I kind of, not Machiavellian, but I like tried to have a before moment. It didn't quite work.
Of course.
Anyway,
you can't force it.
It's a story for off air.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's for off air. But I don't know. Like, this is definitely in the serious side of the spectrum. This and End of the Tour are my two favorite movies of the year. Okay. And then the other two are Mad Max and Magic Mike. So it's kind of hard for someone to probably believe that I actually enjoy Magic Mike. I almost bought a T-shirt today, by the way, for $1. And I thought about it. I was like, do I want to buy it literally for $1?
Like,
I thought about it. I thought about taking a picture of it and sent to you, but it was like a real bland T-shirt. Just said Magic Mike XXL coming, January 4th, whatever.
July.
Everyone's different. Like, you can go lots of different ways. Like, you don't have to necessarily enjoy, or not enjoy, but you don't necessarily have to be a happy person to enjoy a sad story, because in my post-grad life, it's been, pretty boring and pretty depressing. Try to get excited, but for a while there was just, oh yes, drink every weekend because I can. But I have ambition now, and I think that's why I like this movie. Like, I can relate to this sense of, well, I don't know what to do in my life. Like, nothing makes sense. Like, I'm just looking for that special someone to come along. And it's kind of the same in End of the Tour. Like, the jealousy between that Jesse Eisenberg has for Jason Segel. Like, he's like, I wrote a pretty good book, but I want to write this fucking amazing book.
It's funny. That's a big thing too. Like, that definitely gets to what I'm trying to say. Because you look at Jason Segel, he's the guy that already struck it rich, and he's worried about it throughout. That's gonna change him. Yeah, no, like, he's got a bestseller, and he's basically got what
he's still
what Dave Lipsky
modest
wants
living,
at that
though.
point.
He's still a modest person.
And
Yeah, I think that's
because
this is the wrong. We're kind of ruining that movie now for these.
Okay, no. But I mean, that's a big part of what he says. I mean, that is a line though that he says in the movie. Actually, now that I remember it, but yeah, he's specifically where he says, "I treasure my regular guyness." Like,
yeah,
that's
why Jesse Eisenberg is like, well, I think you're a fucking fraud, and you put this up, like, you pretend to be this person.
Well, no, he's basically, he's pretty much being like claimed like he's called what the next J.D. Salinger, like, the next great American author. And I mean, that level of fame and that level of attention. Yeah, it's like, you got to be careful of how that's going to change. You have the lifestyle that you get, all the free shit that you get from like hotel rooms and press and all that. And yeah, I mean that's
Like maybe,
that's something that he was very, very much aware of. So
maybe
I mean,
Michael in this movie is the other side of that coin. Like if you let it go to your head, we don't know what he was doing the 11 years before.
Like
when he
we're
met
just
Bella.
filling in the blanks there, but
exactly.
Like, yeah, he obviously got
but
very successful and got very
successful.
comfortable. Yeah,
he has a lot of money. You know, he's at this fancy hotel. He's getting room service in these bottles, and he can buy exotic Japanese sex toys for his kid. Which I would have loved to like. I hope there's like a deleted scene where they show Michael using the thing and before he gives it to his son when he's drunk or something. Because think about like where did the semen come from?
I don't. We didn't even see it. Like
no, yeah, I know.
I
it would
don't
be
know
hard
what...
to have that on screen through stop motion. But
could have made a paper mache one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Just wet paper mache for cum. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I don't have much more to say about this film. I hope you guys have enjoyed our conversation.
This might have been the most confused conversation that we have, where we're
that's
just
okay,
figuring
though.
out. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I hope that's entertaining.
Like, it's not a clear-cut movie. It's open to interpretation, and so we're just trying to interpret it. And it's not something that we really do on our show because we don't want to ruin it for others. But yeah, I hope you guys were entertained or like this. If you hated it, it doesn't matter. You know, let us know, please. Some kind of feedback. Share this with your friends.
And the big thing here for this show specifically is that it is spoiler filled, and ideally you would have seen the movie already. So if you have anything else to share in the discussion, then yeah, by all means send us feedback, and we'll try to respond to you, and maybe
not try. I can
have an
definitely
even.
do that.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, we would at this point, yeah. I mean, maybe even have another conversation in a later episode and dig into this movie more, because, I mean, you know, it is Charlie Kaufman. I know that even Synecdoche, New York has so much more that you could dig into, and I have not seen that since high school. I want to see that again at some point. That could be a debt to cinema.
It was on Netflix forever ago, and I was really pissed that they took it off before I could see it. So hopefully they add it again in the near future.
You know, it's funny because I think about it. That was referred to as, or Charlie Kaufman called that his horror movie, and you can you can say the same thing about Anomalisa.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially that nightmare.
Maybe, yeah,
or just the concept in general of world becoming monotonous.
Well, yeah, I mean, not just aesthetically though, horror movie, but like psychologically being one for characters. Yeah, so maybe that could be said here. It's definitely not. The end game is not pleasant, but
not nearly as pleasant as your responses. Please give us some. You can get us on Twitter at $reviews, Facebook, same thing. The website's $reviewspodcast.wordpress.com. Email $review@gmail.com. We have comments on our website. You could write a review on iTunes and tell them this fucking episode was god awful. I can't believe I wasted 35 minutes listening to these guys talk. What's he talking about his mullet for? That's not related to this movie. They're
probably just like, I didn't know he had a mullet. Like you're just one of those voices on the radio where no one knows what you look like, and then they see your picture. It's like, whoa, that is not what I imagined them looking like at all.
You'd be surprised the kind of responses I get. They're almost all universally good, but I've had some real bitchy people be like, "You need to cut that thing," or
leave it alone, man. Do what
you. No. I'm just saying, you'd be surprised, the kind of people, the tact that some people have among strangers.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. People are stupid.
Yeah, not as stupid
and that's
as
why
us.
we don't have an audience, because I criticize them.
Oh, I don't know that. You can't really criticize someone who doesn't exist. I'm lying. Exactly. There's got to be we'll probably get a couple listeners. But yeah, we've definitely talked as long as we can about this. That's a lie. I can talk for a long time. So hopefully, yes, please share this with some people. Thanks for listening.
Have a good one.